Saintess summons skeletons. By Morn. Chapter 391, What is a stone? It's fair to say he's gotten a bit of an upgrade recently, we haven't really had the opportunity to show it off to many people yet. What do you think? Looks good, right? Michael teleported away to get a better view then back in. Hey! What kind of creature's skeleton is this? Oh, that's a custom-bred hybrid, a senior necromancer made it for me. Or for him, rather. You won't find anything like this in the wild. I was worried it might look weird with the 3 heads, but it ended up fine. The 3 heads aren't even the weirdest part, Astelia commented. Can he see through the 3 heads at once? Michael wondered aloud. He can, and he does. I have a way to see through his eyes, and it's quite disorienting, honestly, especially considering how the 3 heads are arranged to look in different directions in the kind of triangular formation. He got used to it pretty fast, though, so it worked out well, Sofia explained. Michael nodded at the explanations, and kept on looking. I can't decide on what I find most disturbing between the hooved legs and the oversized hands and claws. It's the hands, Astelia chimed in, clearly the hands. I don't find them so bad. The skulls actually are a bit creepy if you look at them from the front, can't really see from below though. But if you want my expert opinion, the really weird part is the bone structure. Just look at the arms, 5 main humerus bones instead of 1. I can't even begin to understand how the muscles would connect in there, Sofia told them. And also, if you look closely, the tail is not actually a continuation of the spine, and that's really strange. You say that? But I don't even understand how the thing would have looked alive, with all the bone spikes and these armor plate looking things, Michael continued. I didn't get to see it when it was still alive, actually, but it must have been quite the beast. The result speaks for itself, just look at the 6 meters high mountain of bones it left behind. It's quite impressive. But does he not use any equipment? Well, he could use a storage ring, but then he wouldn't be able to go hide in mine, so I just do all the carrying. As for armor and weapons, he's got skills for this. The only real piece of equipment he has is a float ring I just bought for him. It's inside the main skull. Float? Michael asked. Yeah, he can't fly, and he's too big for most of the flight item spells to work for him, and making a custom one would be a pain. So we just went with float. Not as good, but enough for some additional movement. He can jump really damn high with those goat-like legs too, so it's not like he lacks verticality. And he's still got the air step enchantment too. And the bones are so much tougher than any other bones I've ever seen. It's no dragon scale, but it was almost as good as pure mithril even before putting Perith inside. Truly a premium skeleton. A smile formed on Sofia's lips as she pulled up the old and new status sheets she had made for Perith. // Name, Perith. Age, 3. Class, Holy Eclipse Skeleton / Boneplate Mauler Edition / Level, 249. Health, 995 100 / 995 100, 905 692 with Sanctified Grounds and Halo. Stamina, 403 399 / 403 399, 177 925 with Sanctified Grounds and Halo. Mana, 49 800 / 49 800, 200 * level. / Name, Perith. Age, 4. Class, Holy Eclipse Skeleton / Hellspawn Abomination Edition / Level, 249. Health, 12 721 500 / 12 721 500, 37 146 780 with Sanctified Grounds and Halo. Stamina, 4 315 200 / 4 315 200, 12 600 384 with Sanctified Grounds and Halo. Mana, 49 800 / 49 800, 200 * level. I get a bit giddy every time I look this up. The before and after is so staggering. I still can't believe it. A 42-ton skeleton. Meanwhile I'm still. / Name, Sofia Afinareth. Age, 21. Class, Saintmancer. Level, 249. Health, 85 980 / 85 980. Stamina, 21042 / 21047. Mana, 417-100/417-100. Well, surely this trial will change that. Sofia was brought back to reality by the return of Kyle. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, follow me, I will explain the details of the trial once you're all seated. Saying so, Kyle walked up to the edge of the pit at the center of the tower grounds. Sofia almost expected him to jump, but when everyone joined him, the portion of ground they were on started sinking instead, slowly bringing them underground. Can you not teleport us around? Michael asked as the platform slowly crawled down into the abyss. I could, but it's customary that we take things slow here. Used to be that the tower needed a while to gather the energy for the launch, but now it's more about theatrics, Kyle explained. I like the tension the slow ride creates. You should revel in that downtime, you will not be getting much during the trial. Astelia looked over the edge of the platform, but she couldn't see the bottom. Can you see anything, Sofia? Yeah. There's like a big pointy thing in the middle down there. No idea what it is. Oh, I see a door on the side. It's some kind of tiny metal tower inside the tower, I guess. A pointy metal tower you say? Michael repeated with a smile. I can already guess where this is going. I have to say, I admire the admin's sense of taste. Truly immaculate. Astelia turned to Kyle, and with a sigh, he explained, wait to spoil yourself. This is the vehicle that will take you to the real trial grounds. Codename IPS, for Interplanetary Shuttle. Yeah, of course you'd call it a weird name, Michael commented. Is there something weird about it? What I find weird is the shape, not the name. How does it work? Astelia asked Kyle. To make it very simple, we wait until the destination planet and the tower are aligned, then the tower uses a crapton of mana to send the IPS there like a giant arrow. That's it. And this shit is very noisy, that's why the tower is in the middle of nowhere. You'll have to use something similar to come back. Is teleportation not an option? The small vampire continued to ask. Not that it's impossible with enough mana, but it's a hassle to target the planet even with proper preparation. The flux of mana out there also makes the landing destination unstable, and most people would experience severe soul damage from a teleportation this far away, Kyle slowly explained. Once at the bottom, Kyle had everyone get inside the IPS, which was a lot larger up close, and more than wide enough for Perith to fit in without going back to the storage. There was even a seat for his size prepared inside. There must be other big races taking the trial. Do they have special dragon-sized accommodation for the level 450 trial? Besides the 4 seats turned toward the center of the shuttle, the interior of the IPS was a rather bland mix of different metals all covered in enchantments. There were no windows, and after Kyle closed the door behind them, only the weak red lights on the ground lit up the interior of the shuttle. All right, sit tight. The seats will latch onto you and keep you in place, that's how it works, don't freak out, make sure that you are properly secured in there, or you'll be in for a displeasing ride. Michael was the first to sit down, and the bottom of the large steel chair opened up and gobbled his lower body while elastic black straps latched around his torso, sticking him to the chair. Only his arms and head were left relatively free. Oh wow! Soon enough, everyone except Kyle was in a similar situation. More comfortable than I thought it would be. Looks like you're all ready. Now this trial has officially started, and leaving the premises will be counted as forfeiting. I will explain first, you may ask questions at the end. Kyle walked to the center of the 4 seats and a floating image of a large green sphere surrounded by 3 strange grey discs appeared beside him. This is Cerberus Beta, the planet of rebirth. Situated much farther from the sun than our planet, this was originally a frozen, rocky hellscape, with no air on the surface, until the admins appropriated it for the purpose of this trial. 3,000 years ago, the actual trial grounds were only a small enclosed space, but it has since expanded to the entire planet. From its sky to its underground, its debris fields and its 3 moons, the entire thing is the trial grounds. If you were to leave the trial area, you will get a warning message, and should you fail to quickly re-enter the zone, you will be automatically forfeited. Kyle took a second to catch his breath and continued, as explained, the mana currents out there are a bit messy, because most of the mana on the planet is sent there from here, so to reach the moons and the debris field, assuming you have the capabilities to survive in their environment, you will have to use small IPS towers scattered across Cerberus Beta. They can be hard to find, so be on the lookout for them. If you were to enter a fail state or want to forfeit, the way to leave will be to return to this very IPS we are using right now, so take care to remember where we land, as no one will be coming for you otherwise. Again, Kyle paused, letting everyone digest the first set of instructions before he started again. Now, I'm sure you are all wondering, what is it that we're going to do on this planet, and this, friends, is what you're going to be doing, Kyle said, holding up a rugged glassy stone between two fingers above his head. I present, an empty mana heart. Chapter 392, No Hesitation. So, Kyle placed the mana heart down in the air. It floated by itself where he let go of it. What is a mana heart? In short, this is a bit like a second soul. A part of you which exists in the mana plane more than in the other ones. You do not have one, currently, which gives you the unique opportunity to make one for yourself. And this is exactly what this entire trial is about. There will be no other reward for this trial, no free stats, no items, no skill points, nothing, except for whatever your mana heart turned into. So these are the stones high-level people use to trade. The reward is the mana heart. It makes sense why people said there's no way to get a specialization point here, then. Still, how does the wager play into this? Kyle could undoubtedly hear Sofia's thoughts, but he kept going with his speech he had repeated thousands of times. Now, here come the specifics of the trial. These empty mana hearts can be upgraded by slaying monsters, and having the heart absorb the traces their death left in the mana plane. Simple, isn't it? We call those traces imprints. Fill the heart with enough imprints, and it will evolve. Have the heart evolve enough, make your way to the center of the planet, deep underground, and congratulations, you passed the trial. There is nothing more to it. Your core will then be made one with you, and it will be yours until the day you die. The center of the planet. He makes it sound simple, but it's probably anything but. And how big is the planet? Just from the surface to the center would be one hell of a journey. This leaves a few questions to be answered, Kyle continued. First of all, about the passing rank, mana hearts are ranked with inverse letters, like the hero blessings. All four of you understand how that works, so I'm skipping the explanation. This empty heart here is F rank. It is so weak that using it would actually be a net negative on your power. And once you have a mana heart, you cannot replace or upgrade it, hence why, the passing point for this trial is AB rank. At AB rank, the mana heart will provide a very substantial upgrade. Nothing to be extremely proud about, but not garbage either. Of course, you're free to try to upgrade your heart as much as possible before tapping out. You have a deadline of just under 1 year to do so, after which the heart will begin to set and become unusable. I would urge you to start going down to the center of the planet with at least a month to spare. If your heart sets before you reach the end point, you fail. Kyle gave everyone a few seconds to digest all the information before he continued. Mana hearts are fragile things before they set. If it breaks, you fail. Reach B rank, reach the end before the heart sets, don't break the heart, don't leave the trial area. That's starting to be a lot, but it's still fine. You all have a lot of questions, no doubt, and it is by design. I will not actually be answering many. Figure this out by yourselves. Now for one last detail, wagers. Your four are already aware, makes things simpler, even if one of you in particular will be a giant pain to deal with, Kyle explained while insistently staring at Sofia. Well, it's your job. Kyle sighed. Lucky for you, your friend came before you, so I already have things mostly figured out. But still, what a royal pain in the ass. So, wagers. You wager a divine essence or gold, the system gets to keep it if you fail, you get it back if you don't. Now here's why you want to wager something, the wagered essence will be used to strengthen the heart. If you wager gold, the scribes will do it, which isn't quite as good, but has its perks, as wagering gold comes without a downside. Downside? Because yes, the wager gives two things. First of all, it changes the progression of your heart, depending on the essence. It could be anything from ranking up faster, to getting more out of the imprints you collect, to gaining an entirely new ability through the heart that will end up stronger as your heart ranks up. And understand that this is not up to me, you get what the essence does to the heart, end of story. Now, with this comes a downside. The stronger the essence, and the better the bonus it gives, the worse the restriction it will come with. This is the cost of connecting to the divine planes. For example, should you wager the essence of victory, Kyle said with a smirk, you would be getting stronger imprints relative to how worthy your fight was, but on the downside, your heart will be getting permanent negative attributes should you flee from a fight. So I will have to deal with a very nasty downside, hey? High risk, high reward. So just a trial like any other. After a short silence, Kyle addressed the four again. Any questions? Astelia was first to raise a question. You said nothing about cooperation or sabotage. Are there no rules? No hard rules, no, but we will be monitoring you at all times, so do what you want with that knowledge. Of course, external help is strictly prohibited. And I was going to say this later, but just so you know, you cannot steal someone else's heart and use it for yourself. Next. So you could come as a group of four and stomp on fights meant to be one-on-ones? Or do they expect cooperation from the get-go? I should ask about the ranks, though. This is what I really need to know. What is the maximum rank for the heart? Kyle shrugged. Without any wager, A rank is about the absolute best you can do, but no one doesn't at least wager gold. The exact maximum depends on the wager, hitting the limit is not exactly a common issue, though. So it goes into the weird S ranks, noted. Michael also had something to ask about. Are all the monsters on the planet meant to be hunted? Kyle said nothing and only answered with a creepy wide smile. An ominous answer. Sofia threw a glance at Astelia. She seemed to be taking the situation well. Sofia knew her well enough to see that it wasn't a facade. Astelia had managed to stay calm, for now. Which was a bit of a surprise considering how much of a bundle of nerves the vampire usually was beneath her dignified demeanor. Doing some real growing up. Well, that does it for the questions, Kyle announced. Already? Let's get to the wager and then you'll be on your way. I will not be coming. Let's start with you, boy, essence of sleep, am I right? He said, walking closer to Michael, empty heart in hand. Yep. Let's hope sleep's effects are good. You will be satisfied with it, I'm sure, Kyle answered, before pressing the stone against Michael's forehead. 3 seconds later, as the heart started glowing blue, he stopped, and embedded the stone in a pendant made for this purpose. This stopped the glow, turning the heart back to an unassuming rock, which Kyle then put around Michael's neck. You're next, skeleton. Made your choice. His wager is an essence of knowledge, Sofia told him from her seat. I see. Knowledge. Good, Kyle said, doing the same thing he did for Michael, reaching Paritha's forehead, just a matter of effortlessly flying up. The heart shone white and the pendant was tied around the cervical vertebrae of his front head. Kyle walked up to Astelia next. Let me guess, Moon. How insightful, Astelia answered sarcastically. Listen, it's in the instructions that I have to ask even if I already know. Don't give me shit for it, all right? Spare a fellow vampire. I still have the curse too, you know. Anyway, Moon it is, quite the special one. After he put the pendant around Astelia's neck, extinguishing its purple hue, Kyle finally walked up to Sofia, clearly dreading to even approach. And the last one, he sighed. You're going to say what I think you're going to say, right? I will wager the essence of Afinareth. Fuck me, Kyle said, pinching the bridge of his nose. Here we go. Mana gathered around Kyle's right arm. Slowly, his arm turned to light. With flickering and stars inside, it looked like an archangel's arm, existing in many places at once, yet nowhere all at the same time. The flickering images overlapped until there was only one arm left, holding the empty heart. Carefully, it reached out, and pressed the heart against Sofia's forehead. The contact only lasted an instant. Kyle's arm disappeared in a harmless explosion of light. His flesh arm regrew in its place almost instantly as the seraph cried out in pain. The mana heart fell on Sofia's chest. It was glowing with an intense red light that hurt to look at, illuminating the entire cabin. It flew to Kyle's hand, and he hurriedly slotted it into a pendant. The red glow died down somewhat, but unlike the other mana hearts, this one was still a bit red and luminous. Here you go, he said, tired, as he put the pendant around Sofia's neck. Have fun with that. Kyle wiped the sweat off his brows and walked back to the middle of the shuttle. He made the image of the planet disappear, and addressed the group one last time. This is it. Have a good trial, I have high expectations for all of you. Identification is key in this trial, keep that in mind. Good luck. Kyle disappeared. Chapter 393, Hit and Run No Hit Run? Sofia's first reflex was to identify the mana heart. Nascent mana heart of Afinareth. Rank, F tier. Imprint power until next rank, 0/50. Effects, on use. All stats -30%, -60%. F rank base. Wager bonus, glimpse from beyond, unlocks new unique ranks past the maximum. Wager penalty, the consequences of your actions, cannot regain life. Time before setting, 9 months, 33 days, 8 hours. Oh. This is dangerous. Just like this, the unlife runes have become completely useless for the trial. The penalty is only for the trial, right? Using the heart like this would actually lower all stats by 30%. Matches with what Kyle said. Unique ranks. If I don't reach them, then it's like I had no bonus at all. But if I do reach them, it has the potential to be incredible. And I can't forget about the bonus from the crown doubling all stats. Clearly it applies, since it doubled -30% to -60%. Would it double the other effects Kyle mentioned? Probably not, right? Then to be efficient, it's best if all the imprints I take are just raw stats. Preferably mana. But can I be picky like this? Maybe I should just kill everything in sight and just rush to the unique ranks, imprint stats be damned. Feels wasteful, though. But if the -30% stats evolves into the positive, well, I'll see how it goes. For now the plan will be to try to give the health and extra effect imprints to Perith while I'll take mana. I don't really know about stamina. Perith's stamina never goes down since he's a skeleton. But at the same time it does make him tougher. Well, let's check his heart too. Negotiating with the Knowledge Church to get the essence wasn't really easy, even if Richard and Grandma helped a lot, so it better be worth it. Sofia switched to Perith's vision. Without doing this she wouldn't be able to identify an item he was currently wearing. Sensing her presence, he looked down at his pendant. Let's see. Nascent Mana Heart of Knowledge. Wager bonus, salvaged writs, you can fully absorb monsters' imprints even when their body or soul is too damaged. Wager penalty, corrupted meanings, you cannot see your heart's details before it sets. That was unexpected. New information here. If the kill isn't clean, then the imprint can't be fully absorbed. There's a chance that if I blast monsters with the explosive bolts there wouldn't be any trace of an imprint left. But I guess thanks to this I still have the option, just that it will be Perith who gets them all. The penalty is a joke compared to mine. Especially since I can compare his heart to mine. I can just open a new system sheet. I already keep track of his status sheet, so this is not a huge deal. Nascent Mana Heart of Knowledge. Rank, F tier. Imprint power until next rank, 0/50. Effects, on use. All stats -30%, F rank base. Wager bonus, salvaged writs, you can fully absorb monsters' imprints even when their body or soul is too damaged. Wager penalty, corrupted meanings, forces Sofia to keep track of this shit by hand. Time before setting, probably around 9 months, 33 days, 8 hours at the time of writing. There we go. Sofia returned to her own vision. Astelia and Michael both seemed busy analyzing their own heart's descriptions. Asti, Michael, I have some interesting findings here, want to share information. Astelia looked up. I don't mind, but there isn't much to learn from my Mana heart. I don't need to see it, I could share mine, but it's a bit risky to let Michael know of my penalty. Just sharing information should be enough, Sofia clarified. That is fair. I'm not keen to share my penalty either. I do have some information I can share, but it is fairly basic, Michael chimed in. Honestly, what I've found out is fairly basic too, but it's better than nothing, Sofia continued. Same here, Astelia said. I'll start, Michael volunteered himself. I get that you already trust each other, so I'm taking a risk here, as the outsider, but I hope with this we can stay on good terms and not hinder each other during the trial, all right. Sofia and Astelia looked at each other. It was Astelia who answered. Go ahead then, I'll go next. Alright, here's what I learned. There seems to be something significant happening with the passing of day and night. I don't know what exactly, but my bonus clearly hints at there being something. Like maybe night being highly more dangerous or something like that. Good to know, we'll need to be careful with that then, that could prevent an early accident. Perhaps it has to do with needing shelter during the night or something like that. Sofia guessed. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. My turn now, Astelia said. What I got is that if your heart is damaged but not destroyed, you might still lose imprints. So we really cannot allow them to be damaged, we have to protect them at all costs. Also, if you haven't tried yet, the Mana hearts can't be stored in spatial items. That was to be expected. Won't make protecting them easy. With Perith we need to protect 2 hearts, and me, since I cannot heal. Not being able to heal isn't that bad beyond the runes being unusable. I just have to not get hit. Really easy. Alright, that leaves only me and Perith. From my heart I learned not much, just that there is a maximum rank you can reach, which isn't really anything new. Perith's was a bit more interesting. Apparently if you damage a monster's soul or body too much while killing them, you won't be able to fully absorb the imprint, so we have to be mindful of that. Basically if the prey is ruined, so is the loot. This is really just like trophy hunting, Michael said from his seat. Really good to know, even if I suppose we would have all found that out quite fast. Thank you both for sharing. It's only natural, Sofia answered, we have much better chances if we don't hinder each other. Cooperation is a bit far-fetched, but the planet should be more than large enough for us 4 to all get what we want. You're not going together? Michael noted. Astelia shook her head, no, she's going with Perith, but I will go alone. I have a feeling that cooperation isn't as good as it seems, especially when we each have to deal with our own wager's special traits. The shuttle started rumbling. I get that. Feels a bit like a prisoner's dilemma, this whole situation, Michael commented. Anyway, it seems we're about to go, we better brace for the launch. From all around them, Kyle's voice resounded, slightly distorted, lift off in 10, 9. The lower the count went, the faster and louder was the shuttle's rumbling, as if it were about to explode. Dash, 0, have fun guys. With the end of Kyle's countdown, the walls of the shuttle became clear like glass, giving everyone a view of the outside of the shuttle, which was currently enveloped by what could only be described as a violent lightning storm inside the tower. The electricity all around them exploded with a deafening boom and the 4 trial takers were pressed into their seats like flattened overripe fruits. By the time they understood what had just happened, they were already in space, the clear glass-like walls of the shuttle giving a perfect view of the great void and its millions of stars. The seats opened up as soon as the flight was stable, allowing them to move and stand up if they wanted to. Shit, everyone all right? Michael asked. That was worse than I thought it was gonna be. I'm fine, Sofia and Astelia both answered. Relieved to hear that, Michael continued as he stood up. He walked up to the walls and stared outside, speechless. Astelia and Perith soon did the same. Only Sofia spent a few more seconds in her seat, just basking in the moment, and really intrigued by the shuttle's propulsion method. I know the angels' bolt magic pattern when I see them. It was clearly similar in some way. Oh right, time to take out the dagger. Gotta have that title active. I just hope that the flames from the effect won't damage the imprints or I'm going to need to change title. I could use Master Thief for stealth, depending on the situation I guess, else the Impervious is actually really good with my penalty. The Impervious, lost your head and survived. Effect, hits that would deal less than 5% of your maximum health do not damage you. I wouldn't have to worry about losing a few health points here and there as long as I avoid the big hits. I can leave the Glorious up for now, but I'll keep this one ready in case I need it. Sofia stood up to join the others in looking outside. Can't see the planet. Hard to say how fast we might be going. Absent-mindedly, she looked at the sun and the stars. It's not as magical anymore when you've spent weeks alone floating in there. Still beautiful. But also a bit dreadful. Chapter 394, Welcome to Cerberus Beta. I see it. Astelia told the others. She pointed up and everyone looked in that direction. It took a few seconds for Sofia to find it as well. I see it too. Cerberus Beta. Looks just like what Kyle showed us. You see it, Michael? My eyes must not be as good as yours, not seeing it. Or maybe I'm just not looking in the right spot. The planet and its 3 small moons grew closer and closer until the shuttle aligned itself with it and they could no longer see it. The walls became opaque once again, and a feminine voice coming from the walls gave instructions to the group. Dear trial takers, please sit down and prepare for arrival to IPS Pad 3, I wish you good luck. Everyone sat back down into their own seats, and as the shuttle was starting to vibrate and rumble, new system messages appeared to them. Trial task, upgrade your mana heart to B tier or above and bring it to the planet's core. Additional rewards task, Alpha. What? Is that a weird looking A? Any idea what this means, Perith? Perith seemed just as lost. Suddenly, with a thunk, the rumbling and vibrating all stopped and the seats opened back up. That's it. Michael asked, standing up, I guess we landed. Sofia looked around. The door still looks locked. We're no longer moving, Astelia told them. We must really have landed then. Right, before I go, do you girls know what the sign for the additional task is about? Michael asked. Astelia and Sofia both shook their head. Well, I can tell you what I know, but if I do then you must agree to tell me if you find what to do with it and we meet each other on the planet again, are you okay with that? Okay? Another hero word thing. Right. Are you fine with that is what I meant, sorry. Sure. Asti. Same. Nice, then here's what I know, this weird letter is the symbol for alpha. I can't explain how that works but alpha and beta are like alternate symbols for letters, with alpha for A meaning 1 or first or primary and beta for B meaning 2 or secondary. And since the name of the planet is Cerberus Beta, this makes me think there could be a Cerberus Alpha, or something in that vein. That's all I got. Another planet. Sofia said, I see, how does that sound? Sofia asked Astelia. Well, I don't know about another planet, but he's not lying. Hasn't lied since the beginning, so it's definitely something to keep in mind. We can trust him, I think. You could tell if I'm lying or not just like that. Good that I always go with open honesty then aha. So, you will help me if you find something with that information, right? Yeah, Sofia agreed, that is, if we do ever meet up on the planet or around it. Chances are we won't, a planet is big. Sure thing, but you never know. Worst case, I'm making friends for later, trial ain't what life's all about. Door just unlocked, by the way, I can tell, I should be able to teleport outside already. I'll be going, then, see ya. Just like that, the hero was gone from the shuttle. Not wasting a second, hey. I'm going to be staying in the shuttle for a bit longer, I need to figure out how to protect my mana heart, what about you? Sofia asked Astelia. I will be leaving carefully. Do we meet here if there is a big issue? Sofia nodded, the tangled rings from Nice should work, if they break it'll be our signal to try to meet back here, or at least to leave a message here. This could go wrong in many ways. Let's just hope we never have to break them. True that. Well, I won't slow you down, then, good luck, Asti, take care out there. Will do, Astelia answered as she walked to the door of the shuttle, it opened by itself, letting in blue light from outside and a strong metallic smell, be careful too, Sofia. The shuttle door closed back behind Astelia, leaving Perith and Sofia alone in the IPS. There we are. Third trial. Do you feel ready? Perith nodded confidently, his armor of light flaring up around his massive body. Well, don't get so worked up. One thing at a time. Let's prepare. First of all, let's switch the bone blessings around. I keep the one on my bones, but I think the one you have should go to a shield for me instead. You hardly need it anymore but I could use more protection since I'm not allowed to lose life. Again, Perith nodded. I still have that small mithril shield. Let's use it as a base. Sofia brought out the mithril kite shield she had kept stored in her ring since before the Sun Quest and never used. She wrapped it in bone, making it taller and larger until she could comfortably hide her entire body behind it, after which she blessed the bone part of it with bone dominus. Slightly unwieldy but this should keep me a lot safer. Right arm for the staff, left arm the shield. Armor covering the entire body. I'm also using all the saint set pieces and Victory's crown. Title is on the glorious for now but if I change it will be a day until I can swap again. Let's wait on that for now. Sofia summoned the Book of Skeletons. You have permission to come out whenever if that feels needed, Bookie, rest of the time. Can you get me Crowy and resummon him whenever he expires? We can really use an extra pair of eyes. An ethereal golden page appeared in front of Sofia for her to rip, and after she repeated a motion she had done 1,000 times, the page turned to Fog and then to her favorite skeleton Crow, who happily jumped onto her shoulder. Good job. Stay alert Bookie, might need you anytime. The book's pages fluttered, and it disappeared, ready for Sofia to call it again. Last question is, what do we do with the mana hearts? There, Perith seemed to have a suggestion, he pointed at his pelvis, the thickest single bone of his body, very well protected behind several layers of armor-looking bone plating. Sofia had to ponder on the question. I don't know. On one hand, hiding them in there, this might actually be the best protection we can give them unless I use one of the blessings to make a casing for them, but on the other hand, you're going to be fighting on the front line while I hang back, so they would be safer with me. Perith stroked his chin, considering Sofia's point of view, until he seemed to change his mind, and pointed at Sofia's arm. What? The dragon scale armor? Do you think I didn't consider it? There's no space to put them inside of th. Wait. Do you think this is why Aredes said she needed to tinker with it and wouldn't tell me what for? Sofia hurriedly took her arm out of the dragon scale and gave it a better look. No way. Is this what these new notches near the armpit are for? I thought this was to allow the bone armor to fuse with it better. After putting the armor back on, it felt obvious now, these were indeed a sneaky change Aredes had added to give Sofia a safe place to store hers and Perith's mana hearts. The small rocks fit right inside of there, just under her armpit, and when she activated the bone armor, they were snugly locked inside of the dragon scale arm. This is that taken care of, then. Let's get started. I need to complete the additional task as soon as possible. 1 year. Saria, Alith, Cynthia, and Iwarat are also on this planet somewhere right now. As well as potentially 4 more people, 1 who came with the girls and 3 with Iwarat. I'm not too worried about Michael trying anything funny, but these 4 unknown people. I'll have to be careful. Well, let's get it. Sofia and Perith walked up to the shuttle's large door, which opened for them. This looks just like the tower. Stepping out of the shuttle confirmed that observation. The IPS was at the very bottom of a deep cylindrical pit, just like the tower it had launched from. Sofia looked at Perith. Get inside, I'll fly us up. The ground level of the tower was similar as well, but the safe house in the walls was missing. No free food here. Exit should be around there. Walking straight through what looked like a solid wall, Sofia and Perith finally made it outside. The sky was a weird tint of bluish-green and tall blue pine-like trees grew all around the tower. The air was hot and moist. Immediately, Sofia saw monsters, everywhere. Large flying birds in the horizon, tall creatures with their heads showing up over the treetops, slime-like things crawling around the metallic ground surrounding the tower. Everywhere she looked, there were unheard-of creatures. Some of the slime-like things nearby noticed her presence and started crawling in her direction, immediately bursting up in green flames and dying almost instantly. You have defeated Rust Liquor, leave 89. You have defeated Rust Liquor, leave 93. You have defeated Rust Liquor, leave 57. You have defeated Rust Liquor, leave 88. You have defeated Rust Liquor, leave 89. You have defeated Rust Liquor, leave 84. I might need to quickly change title before this attacks something I can't afford to fight. Remembering Kyle's last advice, Sofia identified one of the further Rust Liquor which hadn't entered her title's range yet. Rust Liquor, LV, Imprint Power, 0, Effect, None. Very interesting. Monsters can indeed be identified for the trial, and it gives information on the imprint in advance. I see how this trial is going to work. Let's change to cheater for now. The sooner I do, the sooner I can change again. Let's see what this adds. Title changed to cheater. Title change function is locked for the next 24 hours. And now. Rust Liquor, LV72, Imprint Power, 0, Effect, None. A brainless and mostly harmless creature, can be used to detect near-surface iron deposits. I even got a description. You spoil me, Mr. Scribe. Cheating indeed. Chapter 395, Forest Shadowing. Alright, what else do we have here? Sofia first identified a bird in the distance, one of the benefits of her new eye, which allowed her to get a closer look at the birds with the optical zoom and also somehow made it much easier to identify distant objects. Ironbeak Caro, LV 196, Imprint Power, 0, Effect, None. Flesh-eating birds, usually scavenge in flocks of 5 to 8 birds, their hard beak lets them break open skulls to get to their favorite parts of the meal. So brain-eating birds? Well, I'm not worried, I don't have one. Level 196 and still 0 imprint power though. Seeing something move around the treetops, Sofia identified that as she tried to get a better look at it. The creature looked like some kind of giant furred centipede. Wolf, LV 160, Imprint Power, 0, Effect, None. These low to the ground, 6-legged wolves exhibit the usual pack behaviors of wolves. They are competent ambushers, tree climbers, and never venture in open terrain. Already stepping foot into that forest sounds like a bad idea. I don't really have a good tool to get rid of many small monsters like that at once without using either an explosive bolt or the rot. Unless I switch back to the glorious title. I don't really do well in cluttered environments like a forest. It looks like I need to search for the stronger monsters if I want to get good imprints. What about those things? Sofia identified the monsters whose gnarly heads were standing out in between the treetops. Forest Overseer, LV 249, Imprint Power, 0.3, Effect, plus 30 Stamina. Known as the Guardians of the Forest, this subspecies of trolls boasts the same usual toughness and regeneration. They protect other forest-dwelling creatures from outside and flying threats in exchange for a constant supply of fresh fruits and berries. As I thought. Stamina though. Not very interesting. It really makes me wonder if I should just get all the imprints I see, or if it's better to pick and choose. I do have a full year ahead of me, but I also need to reach those extra ranks and it can't be easy. Also, 0.3 imprint power, 30 stamina points. So an imprint power of 1 is equivalent to 100 stat points? So upgrading to Mana Heart's E rank is already 5000 stat points. I'm guessing each rank is easier than the next. Let's say it doubles each time, that would be 120,000 stat points by the time we reach A rank. Sounds about right, I think. Maybe a bit low? I don't have much of a reference point for level 250 plus stat lines. And this prompts another question, are the minus 30% stats currently on our Mana Hearts applied before or after we receive the other stats from the heart? Or does it only apply to its own other stats? Is that something you can answer, Mr. Scribe? That feels like an important detail. Sofia felt a slight sparkle of pain in her head. That's an answer, all right, not too sure what it means, though. She opened her status sheet, finding it unaltered, and wondered how she should interpret Mr. Scribe's answer until she had the idea to identify her Mana Heart again. Nascent Mana Heart of Afinareth. Rank, F tier. Imprint power until next rank, 0/50. Effects, on use. All stats minus 30%, minus 60%, applied first, F rank base. Wager bonus, Glimpse from Beyond, unlocks new unique ranks past the maximum. Wager penalty, the consequences of your actions, cannot regain life. Time before setting, 9 months, 33 days, 1 hour. Oh. Thanks a lot. So it's only for the stats I already have. That makes it a bit less attractive. But then again, if it even goes to something like plus 50%, then I'll get plus 100% with the crown, and that's already 500,000 extra stat points. Can't really complain about that. Alright, so far these monsters look mostly harmless. Let's see if I can find something other than the trolls to try out the Mana Hearts first, see how they work. I'd rather not do that in a forest. The birds fly pretty high, flying low must not be safe. Get in, Parath, let's get a view from higher up. Sofia flew straight up alongside the tower for what felt like about 10 kilometers. She was already above the highest clouds, and the tower just kept going up, but she had to stop. The flows of mana just above her suddenly became very wild. It would be hard to fly through there, and she might even get hurt by the mana storms. Damn, I get what Kyle meant. I wouldn't want to step through there unless I have no choice. Though. I might be able to get past it if I fly from within the tower. In the end, she decided to worry about it later, as she didn't want to start with the moons right away, and instead, spent a moment observing the land below, committing the tower's surroundings to memory. No signs of civilized life anywhere. No ruins, no roads, no houses. The sky is green and the plants are blue. Feels like I'm in one of Aurelia's paintings. Something caught Sofia's eyes in the distance above the forest. Is that bird on fire? Once again, she used Richard's eye to look at it from closer up, finding it funny that she was using the highly advanced magical item like a magnifying glass more often than they used it as an actual storage item. It's actually on fire. Not hurting, though, it seems. Is that a phoenix? Will identify work from that far away? It took a few seconds, but her identify spell did reach the creature. Firebird, LV 249, Imprint Power, 2, Effect, plus 200 mana. These large birds use their fire breath and fiery wings to scare away predators. Their alimentation consists mainly of fruits and nuts. They are a fearsome threat in the sky, but their fire dies down when they sleep, making them an easy prey. Cheater is really a title worthy of its name. An easy prey at night. Good to know, but I don't think I need to wait. Still, it's going pretty fast, so I should fly closer. Sofia stayed at the highest altitude she could, and flew in the direction of the fiery bird until she was right on its position, following it from several kilometers above. I need to wait until he's not above the forest, preferably. Sofia followed the firebird until she could see the end of the forest on the horizon. If it keeps flying in a straight line, I can start now. Raising her scepter, she channeled a piercing bolt, sinking more and more mana into it until about half of her total reserve was waiting in the palm of her hand as a long plasma javelin. The head is too small to hit. Should I target a wing? With a loud thunderclap, Sofia released the bolt as the bird started flying over the plains beyond the forest. A clean hit. The angel's bolt pierced through the bird's back, leaving a gaping, charred hole almost perfectly centered through the middle of its abdomen. The bird cramped with a jolt and started falling from the sky. Sofia quickly flew down, and she received a notification before the bird even hit the ground. You have defeated Firebird, LV 249, imprint mostly intact. The bird crashed and tumbled in the tall grass and Sofia landed right on top a few seconds later, Parith immediately appearing next to her and securing the surroundings. How do I do this, now? Unsure of how to proceed, Sofia took her mana heart out of her armor, and held it above the corpse of the bird as large as herself, whose fire had died down with its death. Nothing happened, so she sent some mana into the mana heart, and she felt a reaction from it, but when she identified it again, the description hadn't changed. Remembering how Kyle had held the stones against their foreheads in the shuttle, Sofia pressed the rock against the corpse and sent some mana into it again. This time, she could clearly feel the ambient mana contorting around the stone, something had been sucked in. Again she identified the stone. Nascent mana heart of Afinareth. Rank, F tier. Imprint power until next rank, 1.86/50. Effects, on use. All stats -30%, -60%, applied first, F rank base. Mana plus 186, 372. Wager bonus, Glimpse from Beyond, unlocks new unique ranks past the maximum. Wager penalty, the consequences of your actions, cannot regain life. Time before setting, 9 months, 33 days, 1 hour. Mostly intact. I got 186 points out of 200. And got definitive confirmation that 1 point of imprint power in 100 stat points. That's a 7% loss for just one hole? I killed the thing in a single hit and yet. This really shows the value of Parith's bonus. Blasted the damn bird right through the spine. Sofia thought as she observed the dead bird. Bookie won't want to eat that. Fire breathing, though? She grabbed the admin's dagger and sliced through the bird's neck, storing its skull in her left eye. Clean it up later, will be nice for the choir. She almost flew right back up after slotting her mana heart back in her armor and sheathing the dagger, but she looked back at the charred hole she had made through the bird, and let her scepter levitate next to her as she reached out with her hand to grab a chunk of charred meat. Making her armor open up near her mouth, she gave it a taste. Oh, I'm going to be eating good this year. She stored the entire bird's carcass and left the scene of the crime. This trial isn't too bad so far. Chapter 396, Slithering Nightfall. Sofia spent the next 3 hours flying around far above the forest, and tracking down 9 more firebirds, which all had the same mana imprint. She had also tried to absorb the imprints with Parith's heart after taking it with her own, but as she suspected, each imprint could only be taken by one heart. This must have been why cooperation was an unrealistic expectation for the trial takers. After each fight, only one person would get the spoils. For Sofia it wasn't as bad, as she had planned to share with Parith from the start. As she absorbed the last imprint, she checked on her mana heart again, which she had Mr. Scribe rearrange the description of. Nascent mana heart of Afinareth, /F tier / 9 months, 32 days, 22 hour. Imprint progress, 17.57/50. Effects, will be doubled. All stats -30%, F rank base. Mana plus 1757. Decent progress. These birds are easy to spot, but there aren't so many of them around. I managed to get 3 of them in decent enough shape for Bookie to eat. I just don't know if I should do 1 page with 3 or 3 pages with 1. 1 with 1 and 1 with 2? I'll decide later. Still plenty of space in storage. Still haven't lost any life, so that's good. Though there was that one close call when the iron beaks went after me. Had to sacrifice a bird carcass to get rid of them. Could have probably killed them without losing any life, but I better get used to being overly careful. The sun is starting to go down already. I feel like the days here must be a bit longer, but we arrived late. According to Michael, the night could be dangerous. I should find some kind of shelter, just in case I need it. I'll backtrack to the tower if I don't find anything else. Sofia flew back up as high as she could, and looked around for anywhere that could offer some decent natural shelter to build a discreet bone base. A good part of her bone storage was occupied by what were essentially building blocks to construct a large shelter. She had prepared enough bone walls in advance to build a castle, had she wanted to. I wonder if just staying up there could be safe enough. I can use the latest level of VPPV to hide the light my wings make now, so flying at night isn't as bad anymore. Still, I'd feel safer with walls around. I can still use the unlife runes to hide my presence too. But I might be overthinking. If anything, as long as nothing changes, night should be safer, in theory, with most creatures going to sleep. Finally Sofia found something to her liking, a cave entrance on a small hillside, looking a bit like a bear den. She landed on top of the hill and sent Crowy down to scout the cave. Using the runes tokens she had learned from Eternam and perfected since, she could see what Crowy was seeing. The cave was somewhat deep, going about 25 meters into the hillside and finishing in one large open cavity. And there was already a big occupant of the reptilian kind sleeping in the back. Emperor Pearled Snake, LV 283, Imprint Power, 85, Effect, plus 8500 health. A fearsome giant snake with deadly neurotoxins, its scales are almost as hard as mithril. It boasts outstanding physical power and resilience as well as an innate resistance to magic, but is also almost completely unable to use magic himself. Oh, wow, that is one big snake. Come back before it senses you, Crowy. The sneaky crow skeleton made it back to Sofia and Perith without waking the sleeping white snake. Let's deal with this and get in that cave before nightfall. The health should go to Perith, so I don't have to worry about fucking up the imprint. Now how should I proceed? I almost want to bolt it, but a piercing bolt will never be enough to kill this in one hit unless I hit the head. Even if I hit the head it might survive. And an explosive bolt strong enough to potentially harm it will also destroy the entire hill. Rot might not work and risks collapsing the hill too. I can't take the risk to go there myself either. Sofia brought up her small notebook, looking through Bookie's increasingly long list of summons. 10 female stone ogres 100,000 mana. That'll be perfect. The Book of Skeletons appeared in front of Sofia, opened at the page of the stone ogres. A minute later, Perith was above the large snake, phased through the hillside thanks to the graveyard skeletons, while the stone ogres were waiting in front of the cave in a line. 2 of you stay outside and block the entrance. The rest rush inside on my go. Perith, you ready? All right, 3, 2, 1. Go. The graveyard skeletons dropped Perith inside of the cave, right on top of the giant white snake. His sanctified grounds immediately activated and the snake woke up, with just enough time to realize a giant skeleton was about to tackle it from above. Sofia sat atop the hill, directing the stone ogres while Crowy stood on her head, vigilant about spotting any creature that might be drawn to the fight scene by the commotion. Perith grabbed the snake's head with his 2 huge hands and held it against the ground while the stone ogres rushed inside. Already, stone pillars were forming from the cave walls, pressing against the long body of the snake to pin it in place. The snake's tail turned and whipped at Perith, his flying shields of light appeared behind him, but the tail broke through them like paper, and hit his back with a violent crash. Perith's light armor shattered at the impact point. Name, Perith. Health, 37 146 780/37 146 780. Stamina, 12 600 384/12 600 384. Mana, 44 550/49 800. This fight is already over. The snake managed to free its head from Perith, but its bite was not enough to damage him, and its neurotoxin, as strong as it might be, was completely pointless against a skeleton. Perith kept wrestling with the snake to give time to the stone ogres to seal it down, and when its movements were restricted enough, the skeleton started punching with spiked fists of light for his weapon. The reptile was unbelievably tough, but after 10 minutes of a violent slog, it fell, dead, without ever managing to actually harm Perith, only taking out 2 stone ogres throughout the debacle. You have defeated Emperor Pearled Snake, LV 283, imprint mostly intact. Whoa, this was actually close, Perith. Your mana almost ran out. We're going to need to hunt a few mana imprints for you as well. No other monster approached. I think this might be because we're on the snake's territory. Full imprint for Parith. I can already update his heart. Nascent mana heart of knowledge. Rank, E tier. Imprint power until next rank, 35/. Effects, on use. All stats. Percent, E rank base. Plus 8500 health. Let's get inside, the ogres should be done cleaning up the cave. Sofia's legs were grabbed by two ghostly skeletons and she sank into the hill while she held onto Crowy. She felt an urge at the back of her mind the second she entered the cave, but she held it back with a smile on her face. Not now, Bookie. We have to loot it first. This trial is great. Sofia started by handing his mana heart to Parith, who collected the imprint by copying how she had done it for the birds. Using the admin's dagger, Sofia butchered the huge snake. She collected what remained of its poison and poison glands as well as the entirety of its scaly skin, which had held out pretty well against Parith's assault. It died of internal bleeding. This is why skeletons are superior. Sofia let the stone ogre consolidate the walls a bit more and flatten the ground before she dispelled them, while Bookie was devouring the giant snake's remains. The book came back to Sofia in the middle of its meal. Is something wrong? Sofia walked up to the half-gone snake, and she could immediately see why Bookie had stopped his meal. Right in the middle of the snake's abdomen was a big pearl as large as her head. Oh! Pearled snake! Thanks! Sofia stored the pearl in her eye and let Bookie get back to his meal. She let the pearl out on the ground a bit further, and summoned a water stone to clean it up before identifying it. Pearl of the Emperor Pearled Snake, a big pearl with a weak magic repellent field. That it? Alright, well, got it. I half expected a new catalyst. When Bookie came back again, he had a brand new page featuring the big snake skeleton and the number 300,000. That's an expensive one, like 3 whole sandworms. Sofia patiently waited inside the cave for the night to come, while she kept track of the outside with her mana senses. As the sun fell, things started getting weird. The first thing was the cold. Sofia was functionally immune to the cold thanks to VPPV, but low temperatures were still slightly uncomfortable, and the outside was getting colder by the minute, slowly spreading to the cave. Holy crap, it's freezing! Frost formed on the cave walls, and Sofia had to stop breathing because despite dealing no damage, inhaling the cold air felt a bit like getting slapped from inside. As night truly fell and no light made it through the cave's straight shaft anymore, the temperature stopped dropping, but something else caught Sofia's attention. The mana outside was doing something weird. It no longer flowed through the air like water currents, but started clumping up into bundles near the ground. What the hell? The formation of these clumps was sucking up all the ambient mana. Even the cave she was in couldn't escape it. Despite no clump of mana forming inside, all the ambient mana got drained by the ones forming outside. No ambient mana at night. I'm used to mana-dry environments but it's still uncomfortable, much more so than the cold. And it means I can't fly at night. Still, something else stopped Sofia's train of thoughts. The mana clumps started moving. Not good. Chapter 397, Sunless. Go check this shit out, Crowy. Try not to get spotted. The small crow skeleton jumped up from Sofia's shoulder and hopped to the entrance of the cave where it landed behind a small rock, unable to fly due to the lack of ambient mana. You got a mana clump about 50 meters to your left, can you look? Crowy carefully hopped out of the cave and through the short grass to a tree, which he jumped straight up into the leaves of. From there he tried to move through the leaves to get a view on the direction Sofia had pointed out. Too many trees in the way. It's moving somewhat towards you, just don't move. You know what to do. After what felt like an eternity, a shadowy figure emerged through the trees. It was like a tall lump of black oil, slithering between the trees without a sound. A shade? No, I feel no link to it, can't be one. What the fuck is that thing? Sunless Drone, LV 234, Imprint Power, 1, Effect. Skill Shard, 1/100. The weakest kind of sunless, be wary of them when they are in large groups. Sunless? Because they appear at night? It looks like a slime shade. Like a big black bubble of oil. It looks stretchy. A skill shard imprint, shard because you need 100 of them to actually get the skill, I assume? That's 10,000 stat points for the skill. Double that for me since I have the crown. And for a mystery skill? I don't know how I feel about this. It doesn't look like it sees you, but stay careful, Crowy. If these appear every night we will have plenty of opportunities to learn what that skill is, so let's just observe for now. The cheater description says it's the weakest kind, meaning there are several stronger types. Sofia pushed her mana perception as far as she could. She felt several more mana clumps all around the small hill she was in, but as far as she could tell, they all felt about the same as the sunless drone. Observing their mana move around, she noticed that they seemed to have some kind of core. Do they have a mana heart inside of them or something like that? This feels a bit like a golem core. The clumps are held together by something inside. A denser core of mana. Yeah, this really looks like a golem core, no matter how I look at it. So either a natural weak point, or a testimony to these creatures being artificial creations. Which is it, I wonder? I could see them being golem monsters created by the admins to populate the world faster. I will need to kill one to be sure. Wait for it to be far enough and come back, Crowy. Buki, I need the engineer and the archer. Sofia took a big crate full of scrap metal and parts she had no idea how to use out of her storage ring as Buki presented the 2 pages she had asked for. When Crowy made it back to the cave, the other 2 skeletons had appeared. Engineer, we need a musket, let's say the electric one for now. Ever since the engineer skeleton had proved his worth in the fake world where Sofia had found Saria, she had been collecting random mechanical parts to be able to give him when the need arises. After some testing, the easiest and best use of his powers was to assemble temporary magic muskets. He could do electric, fire and regular muskets with what Sofia had. Their strength was quite decent, and as long as the engineer was there, other skeletons could also use his creations. The human archer skeleton was equipped with a rifle and given Crowy as a scout, then sent through the roof of the cavern to the surface by the graveyard skeletons. The most isolated sunless is about 500 meters in the direction I'm looking at. Try to see if you can spot it. Sofia looked through the token Crowy was wearing, but all she could see from there was a view of the nearby forest from the top of the hill. After about 20 seconds, the archer gave a thumbs up to Crowy, then pointed at a spot down in the forest. You see it? Sofia tried her best to spot it, but the vision from the token wasn't nearly as good as her own eyes, and she still couldn't find it. It really is in this direction though, so... shoot. With her mana senses, Sofia could see the lightning-imbued projectile pierce straight through the sunless drone. The gaping hole it left immediately closed back up, as if nothing had ever touched the creature. The archer skeleton was already reloading the musket. They're closing in on you, you only have time for one more, aim a bit higher. As all the sunless drones rushed for the top of the hill, the archer skeleton shot once more, following Sofia's instructions. The shot hit the core. You have defeated sunless drone, LV 234, imprint intact. The mana making up the drone dissipated, while the core which had been hit but not destroyed fell to the ground. At the same time, the graveyard skeletons hurriedly retrieved the archer and Crowy as all the other sunless drones reached their position. Oh, damn! What Sofia's mana vision was telling her was that when the sunless drones had all reunited in one spot, they had fused. There was no boundary anymore, the multiple drones had become one large entity with several cores. Do not fight when they are in large groups. I get why now. They can combine like this. I assume the sum is greater than the parts. And even if this thing isn't higher level, which it might be, if we need to hit all the cores to kill it. Maybe this trial is not so easy after all, hey. Who could have guessed? Sofia summoned a rat skeleton from Buki, it was a new addition to replace the rat she had lost on Sun's space temple. She sent it out with the graveyard with the mission to retrieve the core of the fallen drone. Sofia played with the small black pebble in her hand. It was quite heavy for its size. Small debris, the busted core of a sunless drone. Contains a rapidly deteriorating imprint. Debris is a weird way to call it. But I guess it's literally just a slightly heavy rock. I should at least check what the skill is even if it costs me 200 stats points. I just need to be sure not to fall for that sunk cost fallacy thing the Hero's Guide to Gambling book warned about. Sofia pressed her mana heart against the debris and absorbed the imprint. Nascent mana heart of Afinareth, /F tier / 9 months, 32 days, 19 hour. Imprint progress, 18.57/50. Effects, will be doubled. All stats minus 30%, F rank base. Mana plus 1757. Relocate core skill shard, 1/100. Relocate core? Can I get a read on that? Relocate core, your mana heart gains the ability to move within the confines of your body to avoid blows. Oh wow, that's good, isn't it? I would imagine that the mana heart getting hit is quite bad. Killing 100 of these drones shouldn't be too hard, but that's quite the stat loss, though. I really need to pick and choose what skills I want to get in there. Or maybe not. Do I actually have a maximum number of imprint power I can take? Regular hearts do, but I have Afineretha's boon, so maybe thinking about it like that is just dumb. I don't even know if I'll manage to go past the regular maximum in the first place. Might as well take everything that Perith doesn't need. Chances are, I can get all the skills. But for now I'm hiding in a cave. Sofia checked the outside with her mana senses. The drones were still all fused, and roaming around the hill as one big entity. I wonder how that thing would fare against a shower of rot. Let's try that out. The skeletons other than Crowy were dispelled, and Perith returned to the storage. Sofia slowly snuck out of the cave, half of her attention focused on following the cluster of drones' movements. I feel so vulnerable without my wings. This is awful. Wait. No. Sofia had to stop herself from laughing out loud. She took a single step forward, but instead of the ground, she willed to step on the air. Ah ha ha ha. Suck it, trial. No mana? I don't need any mana, I walk wherever the fuck I want. Dodge, me. Experience gains plus 10%, thinking speed plus 100%, reading speed plus 1000%. Order form. Attacks curve around you. Aura, charisma, and processing plus 100%. Gain the ability to walk on matter in liquid and gaseous forms. Sofia happily walked upstairs that did not exist until she reached the treetops, giving her a good view of the creature shambling around on the small hill. Oh damn, this thing is a mess. Are those white things eyes? This looks oddly similar to that god layer creature in floor 99 of the last trial, just black instead of blue and with no teeth. There might be a link between the two. How does this one identify? Sunless amalgam, LV 289, imprint power, 100, effect? Skill shards, 1/10. A bunch of sunless drones turned one, just as dumb, much more dangerous. It really became a single entity. It's a different beast all right. Different imprint too. From about 20 drones the imprint power jumped up to 100. Oh shit, it saw me. The creature had made a sudden turn and was rushing in Sofia's direction worryingly fast, its bulbous oily body crushing the trees in its path like twigs. Sofia blasted the shambling amalgam with a bright column of holy light as she let herself fall to the forest ground, and summoned the graveyard skeletons to escape underground. I think the rot worked. Chapter 398, Take a Hike. Sofia sank into the ground as fast as her ghostly skeletons could carry her. She looked up at the creature which was now just a few meters above her. This thing's soul looks gross. It's not just the body that combined, they actually have souls and they all merged together. Well, not soul, spiritual body is the better word since they don't seem to produce their own mana. The creature spasmed, and suddenly the amalgam was a lot closer, steadily pursuing her underground. Crap! It's digging? No, it's also phasing through the ground. I can't go down any faster. No cave or anything in the graveyard's range which I could escape through. I need to buy time for the rot to drain this thing's mana. It's clearly working. I only need a few skeletons to carry me. Sofia took control of the graveyard, forcing it to create more and more ghostly skeletons. She sent them all toward the creature chasing after her. It was something that she had noticed about the graveyard skeletons when training with Alith. As half-ghosts, they were perfectly capable of grabbing other ghosts. It wasn't often that the graveyard skeletons were used for their original purpose of immobilizing enemies, so it hadn't been Sofia's first reflex. Under her control, the skeletons swarmed the spiritual body of the amalgam, and managed to slow it down. The thing counterattacked, shattering the spiritual bodies of Sofia's skeletons, but she had plenty of mana to help them reform. While the amalgam was being held back, Sofia stopped going down and started fleeing in another direction, eventually resurfacing on the outside. The graveyard skeletons held as best they could, but the creature pushed through and also resurfaced to follow Sofia as she hurriedly started walking up in the air. By the time the creature managed to completely free itself from the ghostly skeletons and rush to where Sofia had exited the ground, she was already 50 meters in the air and still walking up as fast as she could without triggering the chaos state of dodge, me, which wasn't very fast. The bulbous and rot-covered body of the amalgam squashed itself against the ground. It's going to jump. The amalgam left the ground with a boom, creating a small crater in its wake. Perith appeared in between Sofia and the creature, his sword pointing straight down at the amalgam, impaling it before it could reach Sofia. The full length of his sword of light penetrated the monster, yet it failed to stop its upwards momentum, and Sofia had to jump out of the way, which triggered the chaos state of dodge, me. Dodge, me. Experience gains plus 10%, thinking speed plus 100%, reading speed plus 1000%. Chaos form. Strength, agility, and speed plus 100%. Reaction speed plus 200%. Maximum running and flying speed plus 2000%. The speed helped her get out of the monster's trajectory, but it also meant that she could no longer walk on air, and her wings were still dysfunctional in the monolith environment. That's a hefty fall, I could lose some health. Sofia stored her shield to have both hands free, and started simultaneously channeling explosive angel bolts. Spinning around as she fell, she launched both bolts as she was about 10 meters from the ground, one at the creature still in the air with Perith, and one at the ground below her. She unfolded her wings. The explosion below her was a big cloud of her own mana which she used to give support to her wings and cushion her fall right before Perith appeared beneath her to catch her. The other bolt also hit the creature. It was probably too weak to do much, having only had time to accumulate about 10,000 mana, but had the benefit of feeding the rot and accelerating its growth. Perith returned right back to Sofia's bone storage, and with that out of the way, Sofia decided that the best course of action was just to run away as far as she could. The creature touched ground again and quickly returned to chasing after her. It was slower. She relied on her mana senses to avoid the numerous sunless drones on the way, and ran through the forest as fast as she possibly could. Noticing weird things on the way, but she couldn't pay them any attention, as the amalgam, realizing it wouldn't be able to simply catch up with her, had started using spells of its own. It ejected parts of its huge body as magically charged projectiles, like javelins of black goo, leaving gaping holes in everything on their way. Most of them she managed to dodge, but more than once, Perith had to appear to take the hit, and without the boost from sanctified grounds, he was actually taking serious damage, millions of life points vaporizing every time a black spear touched him. The chase continued for several minutes, long enough for Sofia to exit the forest, jump over a lake, cross a large empty plain, and end up in another forest, but she could see the light at the end of the tunnel. The creature progressively became smaller and slowed down until it couldn't keep up anymore, and Sofia slowed down slightly in kind, to be able to keep an eye on it as it succumbed to the rot. You have defeated Sunless Amalgam, LV 289, imprint ruined. Lords. This was way too close for comfort. If a single one of these black spears touched me. And it seems the rot destroys imprints too. Just my luck. Well. It's all yours, Perith. Sofia told him in her thoughts as she handed him his mana heart while they walked back to the place the creature had died. Just wait for the rot to dissipate. I don't know if the hearts can be damaged by it and I don't want to find out. They patiently waited for the rot to run out of mana as it consumed what was left of the creature, and by the time it disappeared, all that was left were a few pieces of small debris, some badly damaged by the rot, some mostly intact. Perith absorbed the imprint, and Sofia updated the sheet for his mana heart. Nascent mana heart of knowledge. Rank, probably still E tier. Imprint power until next rank, 135/. Effects, on use. All stats. Percent, E rank base. Plus 8500 health. Skill shard, 1/10, Sunless Amalgam skill. I guess we have to hunt at least 9 more of those now. And we can't know what the skill is until I get a shard myself. For a boon of knowledge it sure leaves you in the dark. Sofia and Perith collected the debris from the Sunless and were patiently waiting for the passive healing of Bone Dominus' constructs to heal his bones. Each spear Perith took for Sofia had shaved off about 2 million health points, leaving him with 6 out of his 13 millions total left. The good thing is this means the spears wouldn't damage him in the sanctified grounds zone. Hunting more of those things might not be so hard, as long as I can be safely far above the clouds when Perith engages and just support with rod and bolts. An unexpected system alert shook Sofia out of her thoughts. Hey? This is the sound that I set up for skill level UPS, right? Something leveled up just now? Sofia had done some decluttering of her system by reducing the alerts that could show up mid-combat to a minimum. Usually skills would level up during fights but she ignored them to read the entire log at the end of battle, but now she had set them up so that they wouldn't show up at all by default, and a simple ding sound would inform her that a skill had progressed. As she went to check on the skill that just leveled up, another ding. Really? Opening up her alerts, the level up notifications greatly heightened her mood. Radiance reached level 100. Bone Dominus reached level 3. Finally. It's been so long. It was level 2 since the damn fight against victory. Bone Dominus, the Saintess can control, fuse and reshape all inert bones in a 10* skill level, meters radius. The Saintess can reshape all bones they touch and connected bones with a 3* skill level, meters radius. This will make them unable to be used as new skeletons except as constructs. The Saintess can create and control up to 3 skill level, blessed marrow bone constructs. The constructs are considered skeletons, and must be manually controlled. For each nearby blessed marrow bone construct, the Saintess and all nearby skeletons receive the following effects. Regenerate 0.5% maximum health every second. Bones are 10% sturdier. The range is good but the addy. Her thoughts were interrupted by her mana senses locking onto a nearby sunless drone approaching her and Perith. A piercing angel's bolt reached the drone before it could reach them. And surprisingly, she had heard another ding while the bolt had been charging up. You have defeated Sunless Drone, LV 208, imprint intact. Kindly fuck off, please. Sofia sent Perith to get the drone's imprint while she devoured the new message with her eyes. So this is why it was taking so long to level up. A new soft evolution choice was unlocked for the skill, Bone Dominus. Available soft evolutions for Bone Dominus LV.3, levels will be conserved. Bone Dominus Imperium, effective range for bone control and the construct's blessings reaches tripled. Bone reshaping and manipulation becomes slightly easier. Bone Dominus Potentium, force equal to the Saintess's current strength can now be applied to controlled bones regardless of environment or gravity but will consume additional stamina. Bone Dominus Presidium, construct blessings can now be applied to the same target multiple times, and the bone sturdiness bonus changes to 20% for the target it is applied to, and 15% to nearby skeletons and Saintess. For soft evolutions, these go pretty hard. Chapter 399, Housewarming Gift. I need to think this through, just maybe not here. Perith teleported back to Sofia, crouching to hand her the sunless debris he had just collected but when she went to grab and store it, he pulled his hand back. What? Did you just want to show it to me? It looks perfectly normal. Wait, did you not collect the imprint yet? Seeing Perith's 3 skulls nodding, Sofia quickly understood what was going on. You don't want the relocation ability? I don't know. It's true that there's a chance it might be useless for you. It's hard to say where and how your mana heart will manifest and what will happen to it when you die or change body. I still think you should take it. It's only 10,000 stat points. Look at your current health, you know that this is not what will make a difference. In fact, it might just be better to focus on getting more skills for you. We'll see. So, what do you say? After a few seconds of reflection, Perith absorbed the imprint, and handed both his mana heart and the debris back to Sofia. Alright. Now let's backtrack a bit, I want to investigate the cocoon things we ran by on the way. It wasn't long before Sofia found herself face to face with a large black cocoon on the forest floor. It looked made of the same black goo the Sunless were made of, and now that she paid attention to it, there were several such things even just in her immediate surroundings. Can I identify this? Sunless cocoon, something is sleeping soundly inside, it will wake up at daybreak. Something? It wasn't too hard for Sofia's mana senses to pierce through the cocoon and perceive what was inside, a small pack of 6-legged wolves. I think they were called wolves? Why the hell would they be in a cocoon like this? Walking around and checking the other cocoons she could find, there was only one conclusion Sofia could come to. The Sunless are protecting all the other monsters during the night? That's an interesting discovery. But I think we've attracted a few followers. Better get rid of them before they become an amalgam again. I take left, you take right. Perith ran to engage his target while Sofia lazily raised her right hand. The Sunless drone never stood a chance against the lightning bolt. Sofia absorbed both imprints, and she decided to return to a safe place to consider her skill evolution. The safe place she chose was the sky. Simply walking up until she was high enough for her taste, she sat on nothing and contemplated the dark world below. The night was surprisingly well lit, still, with 2 of the planet's 3 moons up high in the sky. Beside them, the night was calm and silent. The Sunless kept aimlessly roaming the forest below. Now that she had a better knowledge of how they worked, they were a lot less scary. The drones, at least. Seeing a moon's reflection in a small forest pond below, Sofia looked up again. The real moon was about just as blurry as its reflection in the pond. There's something weird going on with the moons. I can't see them clearly even with the enhanced eye. The system must be doing this. After all, it can hide the towers. Well, whatever, that's a subject for later. I have to choose an evolution. Presidium is a safe choice, gives the flexibility to stack the blessing if I want, make it generally better at defense. Now that the skill is level 3, I can bless both my and Peritha's bones plus my armor. Keeping this configuration, it would be an immediate toughness increase of 20% each. Of course it's stackable, which is nice, but realistically it would probably stay in this configuration most of the time. 20% is a lot. But is it better than a tripled range? Imperium does that and also improves the blessing's range. Currently it's about 100 meters give or take. Tripling that area is big, that would give Perith a lot more freedom to move around without us losing the blessing's bonuses. It also triples the bone control basic range, not counting the extra reach from the scepter, so I go from 32 meters to 92. That's not the most useful in combat but it is quite practical. Tripled contact range, though? With this I might be able to explode the entirety of the skeletons I touch, and not just the surrounding area. Last is potentium. It's a bit of a hit or miss, especially since strength is not a primary stat for Saintemancers. My base multipliers must be really low considering my natural stamina growth. Still, with the crown, the demon form, Runeforged Overlord, one with suffering, and dodge me, I have a lot of stacking strength buffs. Enough that it's a bit silly to ignore them. It would be quite potent when set up properly, and would give me one more vector for attack. But it uses stamina. I don't have much. And I don't know how much it needs. It's probably best to avoid this one just because of this. Just managing mana is painful enough. So either more defense or more control. Which is it going to be? It's got to be Imperium. I think, and not even for the range, but for the improved control and reshaping. Especially for this trial. If my body gets blown to bits I can't heal but I could still move around as long as I can get my blood light into a bone shell. I can already do it but it's super stiff and unusable. With Imperium improving bone manipulation even if just slightly, it could be the difference between unusable and fine. Yeah, the other options are also good, but your passive Bone Dominus LV.3 has soft evolved to Bone Dominus Imperium LV.3. There we go. Let's do some hunting next. Sofia stood up and charged a piercing bolt. The sunless drones were stupidly easy to spot with her mana vision, even from up there. Without leaving the safety of the empty sky, Sofia poured lightning from above all night long, while Perith followed her from below, occasionally teleporting up to deliver a bunch of imprints in the form of sunless debris. She tried attacking one of the cocoons protecting the sleeping monsters once, but her bolt failed to pierce it so she returned to her hunt instead, carefully making sure not to create another amalgam in the process. The lack of ambient mana made her regeneration quite slow, which became the limiting factor for her hunt, as she still needed at least 20,000 mana to make a bolt strong enough to kill a drone. Sofia was aiming a bolt at a sunless drone when the first ray of sunlight pierced through the night. The sunless faded into a mist of mana, and mana started filling the air again. The cocoons protecting the sleeping monsters disappeared all the same. There was nothing left of it all after just a few seconds. Truly sunless. Can't stand the sun for an instant, the weird frost they brought with them is also disappearing by the second. Well, we're almost there, only missing a few shards for Perith. Nascent Mana Heart of Afinareth, /E tier/ 9 months, 32 days, 7 hours. Imprint progress, 117.57/250. Effects, will be doubled. All stats -5%, E rank base. Mana plus 1757. Relocate core. Nascent Mana Heart of Knowledge. Rank, D tier. Imprint power until next rank, 258/. Effects, on use. All stats. Percent, D rank base. Plus 8500 health. Skill shard, 1/10, Sunless Amalgam skill. Relocate core skill shard, 73/100. It went from -30% to -5%. If it keeps going up by 25% every rank, then the minimum passing requirement is plus 70% since it's at B tier. Right? And then that would mean Parathas is currently at plus 20%. That's only if the progression is linear, though, and it might not be. I don't know why I expected the mana hearts to start looking different with the ranks, they're still just glowing rocks. Should I start hunting firebirds again? Maybe let's just see what's outside of this forest. Sofia chose a random direction to fly away from the forest. She had to go for quite a while before she was truly out of the massive sea of blue trees. Dubious, she observed the new land presenting itself below her. That's one huge swamp. The trees there are massive, too. Not quite Black Primus big but not extremely far. Does this whole thing freeze over at night? That could be funny. I don't see a great deal of monsters here though. There are things hiding under the mud. Wait. Ruins? Sofia used her left eye to zoom in on the grey structure she had noticed in the distance. Looking at it closer, it was indeed the old ruin of a small stone castle or fort of some kind. In the middle of a swamp? Could a previous trial taker have built this? As she debated going there to check, Sofia saw some movement below her. One of those small mud monsters? She checked with her mana vision but saw nothing in particular. Really? Nothing? Really? This can't be right, I'm positive I saw something move. How was it to turn on the heat layer again? Holy shit, what? Whoa! Good thing that I'm flying so high. How many monsters are there waiting for me under the mud, exactly? Whatever was hiding under the mud, Sofia could see concentric rings of heat under the mud, their starting location, the spot she was flying over. If I was on the ground I would be surrounded. With a flap of her wings, Sofia moved further. There was a small delay before the heat signals from underground followed, crawling underground until they were once again arranged in neat circles right below her. I can't identify as long as they're hiding in the swamp. But they're all gathering together, it's cute, it's like they already know they can't escape what's coming next. Sofia started channeling an explosive bolt. Chapter 400, Everything is an enemy. How much can I push without losing any health? I remember that around 200,000 the heat was starting to get pretty bad. Maybe if I made heat shields with bones. I can charge much faster now at least. About 5,000 a second. After about 40 seconds of channeling, the bolt on Sofia's scepter started changing appearance, becoming smooth and glossy. The waves of heat were not nearly as bad as she remembered, and the dragon scale arm perfectly protected her hand. VPPV went through all of Realm 2 since last time, that must be why I'm not feeling it as much. She had flown a bit further from the stone ruins, and watched as more and more underground swamp creatures gathered beneath her, hiding below the mud. She still had no idea what they even looked like. What little she saw of them through the heat vision of her left eye was a blurry mess at best. I should ask Richard if he can make it clearer. 220,000, this should be enough. Sofia simply released the bolt, letting it fly straight down below her as she herself flew up. The bolt hit the swamp with an almost metallic ring, and the world became halfway white. Sofia's fake eye let her see right through the burst of light, as an explosion of wild blue flames engulfed the swamp. A rain of notifications started spamming Sofia's system feed. Oh god, collapse all the ones without an imprint, please. You have defeated Skitril, LV 103 to 199 *342. You have defeated Skitril, LV 208, imprint damaged. You have defeated Skitril, LV 248, imprint mostly intact. You have defeated Skitril, LV 239, imprint badly damaged. You have defeated Skitril, LV 207, imprint intact. You have defeated Skitril, LV 212, imprint intact. You have defeated Skitril, LV 240, imprint damaged. You have defeated Skitril, LV 233, imprint mostly intact. You have defeated Skitril, LV 224, imprint damaged. As the explosion died down, Sofia kept flying, her heat vision was as good as useless now with the waves of heat of her own making washing over the swamp. She couldn't feel a trace of the monsters. All she could see within the swamp were bits of bloody brown flesh sticking out of the mud. No way did that kill them all. There had to be more than that. But that has probably killed all those near the center of the explosion. If I had to guess, the closer to the center the more damaged the imprint, while the intact ones probably died to the shockwave only. That left quite a crater. It's already filling back up with water though. I still don't really know what these skitrills look like. Is it safe to say the survivors probably escaped? How do I get the imprints, though? Oh, I think I know. Go down first to check if it's safe. Perith appeared in the air near Sofia and plummeted down to the swamp, activating his float ring right before hitting the water. Just like the old slow fall ring. Really convenient magic. Perith walked around in the swamp, his legs sinking deep into the muddy waters even with the float ring on. Nothing seemed to move around him. Yeah, the bolt definitely scared away any survivors. I wonder if they dug deeper or to the sides. Sofia flew down and landed in between Perith's three heads. Walk closer to the crater. She observed the bits of charred flesh she could see in the mud. To Sofia they looked somewhat insect-like, with some kind of chitinous shell. No skeleton, so I can't even try to fish them out myself. Graveyard crew, it's your turn. Dig them out. Sofia made an ugly face as the first skitrill was dug out by a ghostly skeleton. The beast was best described as a burrowing mosquito, with large conical digging claws in place of wings and a long spike-shaped mouth. The sight of it made her shiver. Do these things also suck blood? It would only take 2 of those to dry me out, I'm sure. Maybe just 1. If I still had any blood left, that is. I wonder what they usually feed on. The skeletons brought the dead insect to Perith, who grabbed it and held it up to Sofia. No imprint on this one. We're going to have to sift through the 350 of them just to find the 8 good ones, aren't we? And I don't even know what the imprint actually is. Well. Sofia ordered a few of the graveyard skeletons to stay on the extremities of her range to warn her in case the rest of the swarm came back, while the majority of the crew was busy bringing back charred or squashed bodies of giant dead insects covered in smelly mud. Finally, as a pile of corpses had started accumulating on the side, Sofia got an imprint from a particularly messed up bloody insect corpse. Nascent Monahart of Afinareth, /E/. 9 months, 32 days, 6 hours. Imprint progress, 117.60/250. Effects, will be doubled. All stats -5%, E rank base. Health +3. Mana +1757. Relocate core. Whoa. A whole 3 health. That better have been the badly damaged one. As Sofia was contemplating whether she should keep absorbing the other skitrills, give them to Perith, or just skip digging for them altogether and get back to hunting something better, a couple of graveyard skeletons brought up something new. Oh, a live specimen. In bad shape, but alive. Skitrill, LV 198. A blood-sucking insect traveling in swarms underground. Their presence usually indicates loose soil and a high likelihood of finding herds of large land animals nearby. They tend to be attracted by any cluster of mana they can locate. Herds of large land animals? I might need to fly higher, see if I can see anything. No point in finishing this one off, toss it to the side. The creature weakly burrowed in the mud after the skeletons let it go. The graveyard skeletons took about 15 minutes to fish out all the dead bugs, and Sofia managed to confirm that their intact imprint was +100 health, and the total she collected was 561 health points. Barely worth the time. Leaving a charred bit of swamp and a mountain of bug corpses behind, she quickly went to check up on the stone fort. She landed in the middle of the half-collapsed fort. Not made by a skill, this is real stone, quite old. The size of the entrance and stairs is too small to be human, and looks too shoddy for dwarves. Conclusion. I have no idea who might have built this. There isn't much left, but this feels like a military outpost of some kind. The floor has 3 layers of stone, so they clearly knew about the skitrills. In comparison, the walls are quite thin. Why build an outpost like this on the border of a swamp? This must have taken a long time, too, when we're only here for a year. Even for me it would take a few days to set up something like this out of bones, let alone stone. Well, whatever, at least it makes for a nice landmark to find my way back to the tower if ever needed. Not lingering in the ruins any longer, Sofia flew straight up until she hit the layer of turbulent mana and was forced to stop. Today was a bit cloudy, which made looking around not as easy as before. She looked for the potential herd of land animals the skitrill's description had mentioned. No. Nothing this way either. A few flying monsters, but nothing big. Hey? I could have sworn Sofia had seen something, not on the ground, but in one of the clouds. An eye. Am I seeing things? Using her enhanced eye, she zoomed on the thick white cloud in question, failing to spot anything. I've seen how well hidden some of the monsters here are. No way, I'm not going to check. Sofia quick-charged a low mana piercing bolt and threw it at the cloud. The lightning bolt pierced a hole through the fluffy white cloud and kept flying. Nothing? She almost gave up and returned to looking at the ground, but just to feel safe, she brought Bookie out and summoned a firebird skeleton for 35,000 mana. The skeleton came out with its wings covered in flames just like the monster, and Sofia sent it into the suspicious cloud. Suddenly, as the skeleton's flames disappeared into the cloud, Sofia lost her connection to it. Hey! She saw bits of bones fall from the cloud and dissipate into a thin mana mist. There was actually something. And the cloud blocked sunlight enough for the blessing not to work. Crap! I've been flying up and down through the clouds without a care in the world. I need to draw that thing out. How does one dissipate a cloud? Rot? No, if sunlight doesn't reach through the thick cloud, the holy light won't either. And it won't stick to the cloud itself. I see. Well, I have no lack of long-range weapons. Skull Choir. Maximum skulls, sandworm form.